All right, I'll get started here, and I'll try to add people as we go. First and foremost, thanks for joining. We're excited to be able to work with you guys this year. If you don't know who I am or who Richard is, Richard will have an opportunity to introduce himself in just a minute. The faces doing this call are different than you've probably seen in years past. But I'm Jesse. I'm the new director of communications at the NCCAA. And then Richard is our communications coordinator. Brandon and Elizabeth are both still working at the NCCA, just have changed roles if you did not know that already. So we're excited to be in our roles, hopefully to continue the great work that they've done, while also trying to add some fun and some new things to what we're doing to help you guys out as best as possible. And part of today is we're going to walk through some important things in regards to what is needed for you guys as we get into the season. I think sports start on Thursday, so it's right here. We're in the week, so we'll be praying for you guys, and we're going to start by opening in prayer, and then we'll go through our agenda here. So let me pray for us quick, and then we'll get started. Lord, we love you. Just thank you for the opportunity to see some faces on Zoom and talk through just the work that we do. Help it to glorify you this year. Just pray for the stresses as the seasons get going. Coming from an SID background, I know how easy it can be to stress, especially early in the year as students come back and just trying to get back into the rhythm of things. Just pray for all of these sports information professionals and that they can just focus on you through it, focus on the student athlete and really just have joy as they go throughout what they do. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to start just by going through just a website overview and our Help Center overview before we get into specifics. So this is the homepage of the NCCA website. And the probably the most important page for you guys, there's a couple ways to get to it, is the members page. You can see a little tab here. Hopefully you can see my cursor up in the corner that you can get to. And then we also have added a tab here that is the for members that we're hoping we'll try to keep it up year round. We do rotate what these buttons say in terms of kind of time of year. So when we get closer to Pro-Am, one of these turns into Pro-Am. Sometimes it's our devotionals. So be on the lookout on our homepage of what those buttons say, because they are easy access to different parts of our webpage. But the for member page is going to be a huge piece for you guys. It's going to have a lot of resources. So we'll click into that. By the way, I forgot to mention this before we get too far. If you do have questions throughout, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll try to answer them when appropriate. Otherwise, obviously, if it's a question you think might take a little bit longer or more personal to you, you're more than welcome to email Richard or I, and we'll show you that staff directory if you don't have our emails already. But back to this here in the Member Help Center, there's a bunch of different buttons here that are going to link to different things. Specifically for sports information, there's a tab here that has sports information specific stuff. And some of these things are going to be talked about directly here in just a little bit. But obviously you have your handbook, stuff about stats reporting, which Richard will talk about in just a minute, a Google Drive, which we'll also talk about, branding guide, public address announcements are items you guys can use in terms of at your games, what you can say about us and just kind of templates for that. And then this plays of the month I'll talk about later. That's a new one as well. Some of the things I wanted to highlight on here really quick before we get more in depth is we did change this page a little bit. We added a championship specific one down here. So for this, all of our qualifier packets will now have a homepage for them. You can also find them on the Coaches Corner. Right now, the only one that's up is golf. This deals more with like coaches and what coaches need, but obviously you guys work directly with coaches and some of you are coaches, which means if you need information about qualifying for a championship, it will be linked here as well as on the Coaches Corner pages, which we'll show in a little bit. You can see that Coaches Corner pages, there's a link here to get to as well. But all of this to say, I would encourage you to, anytime you're looking for help, to go to this page and navigate from there. There are featured links here on the side as well. So if you're looking for who is the regional leadership within a specific sport or your region, there's a tab for that there. Region coordinators. The Career Hub is another piece we'll talk about later that you guys can submit positions to if you have a job opening at your school, and so on. So just wanted to start with that and direct you to the Help Center. I'm going to switch off here, and Richard is going to share a few things before I come back on. He's going to talk about schedule uploading, which some of you guys, well, hopefully everybody has done at least once for the fall because the deadline was earlier this year for the fall sports. He'll talk about stats uploading, which is probably the biggest piece of this call and the most important piece of what we expect from you guys. And then he's going to talk about our championship needs folder. So I'm going to stop sharing and let Richard share really quick and give him the floor.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So, yeah, Jesse, can you see my screen? Just want to make sure.
I can, yes.
Okay. So yeah, so I on the back end, and don't know me, my name's Richard Martin. I'm the communications coordinator here for the NCCAA. If you've got an email from me, it's usually not for a good reason. It's usually because stats or schedules are missing. So this is to try to avoid some of those emails from me, and hopefully the only time you get an email is for the championship needs and any releases. So schedules, y'all have done really good. Everyone's gotten their fall sports schedules in, and some people have started to get some of the winter sports as well. I just want to say for those emails that I send, if you already have your basketball schedule of some kind, or if you have that done, you can go ahead and upload it. That's just those dates are recommended. So that way we know what your schedule is. And plus we'll start the stat reporting side of that. So that way you're not late and you don't get dinged for a stat fee or a stat penalty. But to upload your schedules, there's two different ways for it. So first, we're going to do for if you are a sidearm school. So if your website is for sidearm, which is what our website is, of course, it's going to make me re-log in. And so you'll go to the schedule link and it says add new schedule. And so when you get here, you have all of these. This is where you see your overview of all the sports. So let's just say, let's go down here and I'm going to go to men's soccer D1. You can see all the sports listed. You have D1 and D2 for sports that are D1 and D2. You also have baseball D2. For baseball, you will need to upload, if you're a D2 baseball team, you'll need to upload to both pages. Because baseball is unit division for our championship, but D2 has an invitational this year. So you'll need to be aware of that. But that's the only sport like that. Softball is still unit division, and then football as well, if there's any football on here. So let's just say you're uploading your men's soccer D1. It'll take a while, go through, find your name. And I'm just going to pick a sidearm school, a school I know is sidearm. I'm going to pick Columbia International because I have their site pulled up. And again, this will take a while to load, so don't go clicking through it. It takes some time. Season, you're going to want the appropriate season. So 2024 will be all your fall sports, which is football, women's volleyball, and men's and women's soccer. 24-25 is just used for men's and women's basketball. Men's and then every other spring sport between 2025. Men's volleyball will go under 2025 because that's when our championship is. I think Redeemer is on the call. Redeemer has the different schedule because of how Canada does it differently for men's volleyball. So, but they put it in 2025 so we're all uniform on that. So 2024. And okay, so see, there's already a schedule for that sports school and season because they've already uploaded, but I am going to show you how you would go about it. So then if you're a sidearm school, you go down here, choose a sport, men's soccer, and you would click go. And it's going to take a little bit and it's going to go through your site. If you've already uploaded the schedule to your site, it'll go find it. So as you can see, I click go. It's got all the way down to 2012. Then I would click 2024. And then I'll click save changes. I'm not going to because they've already posted. So click save changes. When you click save changes, this is on both of them. Please do not click the button about 15 times. It takes a while. If you do that, there are going to be 15 different schedules up on the website. And I have to go in and delete them. So that way, when you're uploading stats, there's not 15 games against Alice Lloyd on August 18th that I have to find when you upload stats. So that just makes it easier. And to check, you'll literally just go here, the drag down schedules. Men's soccer is D1, so it does not have the 2 next to it. 2024, click load. Again, this takes some time. Columbia International. If that was their school loading it, boom, there's their whole schedule. You should be able to see it, dates, times, and all of that. So let's say you're not a sidearm site. By the way, to show if you're a sidearm site, I have CIU pulled up. In the bottom right, you'll usually see a sidearm logo, powered by Learfield Sidearm Sports. I have Alice Lloyd pulled up because they are not a sidearm site. They are Presto Sports. Again, Presto and sidearm are not the same. So if you're sidearm, you can do the Nexus. If you change your site mid-year, because that's happened to a couple schools where they've decided to redo their site and they're now sidearm, please let us know because we can activate that for you. So that way we can talk to sidearm, they can activate it, and you can get a lot. It's a lot easier than the alternate step, which not as difficult, but it's a lot more steps than having to literally just click a button and you're good to go. So if you, for some reason, do change to a sidearm site, please let us know so that way we can get the Nexus activated for you. Makes life a lot easier for you. But say you're not a sidearm site, well, we do have, if you go to our help center, and you probably saw this with schedule uploading, and go to stats reporting, upload game schedules, there's an example schedule link there. And it's an Excel sheet, you'll download it. I have one pulled up here. I went to Gardner-Webb University, so I just copied their football schedule basically in here. You need to fill this out as directly as you can. I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see more. But fill it out with a date in this format, the time. If you don't know the time, put TBA. You can go back and edit that later if you need to. The opponent, the location, and then home, away, and neutral. Just put an H, A, or an N. So if you're at home, it'll be an H. If it's on the road, away. And if it's a neutral site like a tournament game or if it's one of those preseason tournaments, put neutral. When you do that, you'll save the form, the Excel sheet, and you'll go to import schedule. And then it'll say import a schedule, choose file. And I've got this one, example schedule. Click continue. You can, I believe you can with this, put multiple schedules on different sheets. So if you want to make just one Excel document, and it's like sheet 1 is your men's soccer, sheet 2 is your women's soccer, sheet 3 is your volleyball, women's volleyball. Or when spring season comes around, all those stuff. So you can select, if you want just sheet 1, sheet 2, or sheet 3. I just have one sheet, and you'll click continue. You'll go to individual team schedule. The mark-all games, conference opponents, not really important for us because we're mostly for the NCCAA, not conferences. Then you go to the sport. I'm going to pick men's soccer. The season, 2024. School, I'm going to do the NCCAA so you can see it. Remove any existing games scheduled for importing. You can click this because sometimes when other schools will upload their schedules, yours will get linked. I usually do a good job of cleaning that up. But for some reason, I missed it. That way, and sometimes you might have multiple schedules in there or you might have multiple games in there. It's not a big deal. It's just froze me. It's mostly for my purposes for stats reporting and for yours for uploading stats. But I would go ahead and click that just to be safe when you do. There's no one in the NCAA, so I'll have to. So then you have the file columns and the matching columns. This is just, you got to match them up. So date is date. Time is time. Opponent is opponent individual only. That is the opponent's name. Location, and then home, away, neutral, HAN. That one is tough to find. It's in the weirdest spot. Home, away, neutral, individual only. So you have all 4 of those selected, and you'll click import. Again, do not click this 15 times. You'll get 15 schedules. Information has been imported. Now to check it, and this is how you need to check all your schedules uploading, go back to schedules, and you'll go back to that sport. So men's soccer, give it a minute, 2024, load, NCCAA is right there. And it should, there it is. There's all of those games. So that is schedule uploads. Again, everybody was really good on that. I know we had a couple schools had some technical issues and some other stuff, but again, we'll talk about this in the stats. If you are having technical issues or if you're having, I know it's the summer. Some of y'all would be traveling for that. I know when we come to spring schedules, it'll be winter. A lot of y'all might be traveling, or some of y'all are coaches as well. You've got a million other things going on. Just let us know if for some reason you have some difficulties with that, and we'll talk it out. And again, just feel free to call or email me or Jesse, and we will be able to get that going. But like I said, if you already have your basketball schedules, some schools have already put up their basketball schedules. That's great. Some have put up their men's volleyball. Even if you already have your baseball, softball somehow at this point in the year, go ahead and put those up. Those dates that, again, I'll send the reminders, of course, but those dates are mostly just for us and just to help you so you don't get dinged for a stat penalty. So that is schedule uploads.
Really quick before you get in stat uploading, Richard, there's some people that joined late. Just want to remind, if you have a question kind of throughout as stuff goes, just put it in the chat and we'll try to answer it when it's appropriate. And then also just a reminder, this is recorded for the parts you missed. We'll have that up on our YouTube channel and emailed out hopefully by tomorrow.
Perfect. So stat uploads. So after each game, if you're newer to this, you either have for your stat program, if you're the home team or if you're the away team, someone should send you an XML file of the game. That is your stat report. So it's going to help center stat reporting, all this stuff. First thing I want to show you is school codes. So some of our teams have different codes or don't have codes in when they put in the XML. It's either a different school or it's a non-NCAA school and they have their own codes. So you have to put in those codes, and I'll show you where to do that. To find those, you're going to click on this cheat sheet, and it'll pull up every single NCCAA team's code. You can download this, print it off, so you have it as a reminder. All these codes should be up to date. They are up to date with all of our member schools, and you should be good to go on all that. You will need these because when you play an NCCAA school, you have to put in their code as well if you're the home team. Because if you're the home team, you are responsible for stats because you were most likely the one at the game. You were the one, your people were the ones statting it. So therefore, you will need that code and make sure that code is in there. So how you do that? Well, should be on, I believe, on the Presto site as a way to put a code in. But for some reason you need help with that, we have programs to manipulate the files. And especially if you play a non-NCCAA school. So say you play an NCAA Division I or Division II, they're not going to put your code in. Or if you play another NAIA school and they're not NCCAA, they're not going to put your code in because they don't have to because they're not part of us. So you're going to have to put the code in yourself. It's very easy. We have two programs. We have Notepad++ and we have Brackets. PC users use Notepad++. Mac use Brackets. I have Brackets. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. This is an old basketball file. This is from our tournament. So you have, if you look up here, you have the team name. I'm going to try this a little bigger. That really didn't help. You got the team names up here. You have visitor's ID, visitor name, home ID, home name, all that stuff. When you get up top, and you can literally search this, just search code, and where the team name is, that's where you want to put the code. So let's say Asbury was not playing. This is at our tournament, so it's already in there. But say Asbury was not playing one of our teams, they would have to go in, put this code in, and then save it as an XML file. Same thing if for some reason you're the home team at a tournament, there's mission, they're the home team, code goes in. When you save in Brackets, you'll need to save as. You need to save it as a .xml file, or else it's going to save as a random text edit file. I've already saved this one, so that's why it's showing up there, but you save it, you're good to go. So once you have your XML file and it's been edited, or say you already get it, and that's also, if you get it and it's an NCCAA school, again, they should already have the code in there. For some reason they don't, I would go ahead and just open up Brackets and check it just to make safe. And then maybe email them back, go, hey, just letting you know the code's not in there. What do I need to do? So that way you're not both uploading the file and then stats are screwed up because you have two games in there, or you have one game for one team and one game not for another team. So kind of talk with that as well. So when you get your codes in, your XML is ready to go. Go to upload. and your school should be the one there. I've changed it to Mission because I use their file. You're going to select sport. Say it was men's basketball. The season. This is from last year. The game. Sometimes with a quick turnaround, like a tournament, like they didn't have that second game in because they didn't know who they were playing that quick around. So sometimes you may not have it. It should not affect anything as long as you have the codes in there because the date and the code will be in there. But let's say this was their game against Hannibal LaGrange. So you'd select that game, choose file, get your XML, click upload, and then you got to click upload XML again. And again, it's going to take a while. Just wait on it. And then to confirm, you go over to the stats page. Might take a while to load because it's basketball. And it is going to take a while to load because it's basketball. Basketball page always takes a while because there's hundreds of games in there by the time we get done. Yes. Go to results by team. Scroll down. And you find your team. Mission Hannibal game. Boom, but Mission Asbury's right there. Boom. And so, again, once it's good to go, that's how you know you're good. I will say, if you don't see on this end and you look at the file, feel free to send the file over to one of us. We can look at it because sometimes there might be something wrong with how it exported from the team that was statting. Maybe it exported from the program. I know we've had some troubles with DAX stats has been kind of weird exporting at times. So if you use that. So just make sure all that's good to go and you're good to go. You should have gotten the email today. Again, with sports games starting on the 15th. I know not everybody's playing on the 15th, but stat reporting does start next week. I am going to try to be a little lenient because the first one of the summer, it's been a summer. People have moved around. I get that. But please try to get your stats in by Tuesday at noon Eastern if you can. If for some reason, and this goes back to scheduling too, you have a game gets postponed because of weather or sickness or something, please let us know that that game has been postponed because I'm going to sit there, see you haven't played that game or you don't have stats for that game. And if I don't go to your website, now normally I'll go to your website and see that's been postponed. But if for some reason your website didn't get updated, I'm going to think you didn't play that game and I'm going to send out a stat penalty. I will take it off because once I figure it out, but it's just easier to tell me, hey, that game didn't happen because of weather, because of something. So please let me know that. Also, if you play any school, even if it's an NCCAA school or non-NCCAA school, and for some reason you don't get stats, you just haven't heard from them. They haven't sent you an XML, haven't sent you, let us know. We've had instances where people just didn't upload the stats because they didn't get them. If I don't know you don't have stats and I see the other school has put stats on their website, I'm going to assume you've had the file and just didn't upload it. And that one, I can't take that one back because there was plenty, especially if it was a week between, there was plenty of time. So please, if for some reason you're having difficulty with a school, please reach out to us. Continue to reach out to them, annoy them if you have to. I know they probably have a million other things going on, but they're here to help you, especially if they were hosting the game. And then I'll also say on stats, if you have, say, make a regional, NCCAA regional or national tournament, the higher seed is responsible for uploading stats for that game. So if you need to go through, look at the bracket, see, like, okay, we were the 3 seed, we played the 6 seed, we need to upload the stats. Hopefully the schools are sending you those stat files. If they aren't, please let us know. So that way we can tell them, hey, I know at our national tournaments, they send them to us, so we see those. But regionals, I know it can get a bit messy because there's so many going on. There's other sports going on. So try to get those regional ones as well uploaded. That gives us a better look on stats, especially for end of the year awards and for anything we might mention during the national championship tournament. Now, that was a lot, but that was really it for stats. And again, also, I think you mentioned this. This is more for baseball, softball. We do not accept files from Game Changer. So if you're statting in Game Changer or you go to a tournament, you're going to have to either open up a new stat file and just plug it in. I think is the easiest way to do. Is that right, Jesse? Probably.
Yeah, I would say so. You can, I mean, if somebody does a stat file in Game Changer, it should generate a play-by-play, and then you can take that play-by-play and enter it into a approved stat file. But I would encourage that you don't. I know sometimes it's unavoidable when you go to Florida or wherever some northern schools go, and you don't have staff to do those, and a lot of coaches know Game Changer. But yes.
Yeah. So again, if that issue happens too, just let us know. Like say if you because we had a couple of schools go to those spring break baseball, softball tournaments, and they had to fix those files. So if you're going to be late, just let us know, and just give us a heads up. Again, I don't like sending out the staff penalty emails, so please try to let me know if you have any issues, whether it's the technology, personal, or with another school. Again, if I don't know, then I'm going to send you a warning. So just make sure that communication is key on that.
Really quick too, Adam brought up a good point in the chat. This part we don't monitor as much, but it is important just for quality of as a sports information director. Making sure the check names are all the same on that XML file is huge because if you don't, what you'll notice is it'll duplicate the player. So if you look at that bracket file that Richard had open, you can also see all the player names. Just make sure it matches what you have on other XML files, because if it doesn't, sometimes what schools will do, whether you like it or not, is they'll like flip last name and first name or do something like that, or change it where it's only last name. If you don't make sure those are consistently the same, which it should be as long as you're sending a roster file to the opponent, then you're going to have multiple names of the same player. And why that is a huge deal is think 4 or 5 years down the road, if that kid is looking for an eligibility, like being able to play, like they come back and look at our stats for eligibility. We actually just had an issue with this where the stats were wrong slightly. And it becomes a whole process affecting a kid's year of eligibility. So just try to monitor that as well when you look at the front ends, because that's important. And we obviously can't monitor that, one, because we don't know who your athletes are. There's 92 schools, and we can't look through 92 schools to make sure that there's no duplicate players. So that's kind of on you guys, if possible, to do that. So thank you, Adam, for bringing that up as well. Last thing too, Richard, I wanted to mention with it, I know this is a spring issue and we'll send out more communication about this. So this year is a little weird with D2 baseball being an invitational. If you have baseball and you're a D2 school, all of your stats still need to be entered in the baseball side, not the D2 baseball side, because you're eligible for the national championship of baseball. So the stats pages are going to link to the exact same spot on our website. The D2 baseball page and the baseball page stats are going to be identical. So the invitational, it's an invitational. So just remember that you shouldn't have to change your process in terms of how you've done stats previously. You just will have that opportunity to play in the invitational in February. So it will be weird for a little bit. And then as long as the invitational becomes a championship, which is a 3-year process, then we will have the communication of how that will change to where D2 and D1 will be separate, if that makes sense, hopefully.
And Jesse, one more thing, I just remembered this happened in basketball season. If you have a forfeit, if you have a forfeit and the game was not played, you have to go for the proper. That's not what this call's about. You have to go for the proper channels for getting that approved and all that from us. I think that's what Brandon will cover that mostly. But for if say you played a game already and it comes back like a week later, they had an eligible player, that game gets flipped to a win for your school. I will go and get the XML and re-edit and re-upload it, and I will send it to you, because what we do is we change the score so that say, it's a game you lost, you now win it 2-0. We take out the stats of the ineligible player, and but every other stat stays the same. So that way your player stats are not affected, but your record and final score is, and I'll email that out. That happened during basketball. We had a school that had that happen too. And so if that happens, I will send a new file. And if it's a game the school that gave the forfeit lost, then I have to go in and I will take the player that's ineligible, their stats out, but stats will stay the same. So that's a rare occurrence. But if for some reason there is a forfeit that comes up, I'll take care of that file and send it to you. So that way you're not chasing down another SID trying to find that. So that's it really for stats. And then we'll go finally for me is championship needs folders. So if you make one of our national championships, you will get sent a championship needs folder from Jesse. It'll be a link to your sport. I'm just going to pull up D1 basketballs Google Drive, and this has every single team in D1 that has basketball. You'll see it for baseball, softball, all the other sports that we broadcast on our network or that we use a program for, such as golf, cross country. All those will have stuff like this. And so I'm just going to pick on CIU again because I saw them. They have different folders in here. So you have action photos, you have broadcast storylines, official travel party roster, player headshots, scheduling results, team and individual stats, and team photo. Quickly up for action photos. Again, these are all going to be empty because we have cleaned them out for the year. Just put like if you can, 3 to 5 action photos of your players, either your best photos or maybe you want two. We had some schools, they did 2 of every single player. So that way everybody was covered. I know a lot of y'all at home at games try to get photos of your players just so they can have our players pictures from senior day. Just put something in there that really mostly goes for our presentations at the banquets, for our sports, and for our programs, and that really helps us out. Travel party roster, I'll pull this up. You'll need to fill that out because that will show you who's all officially coming. So I've just pulled up, this is Calvary women's basketball from last year. It's got school name, SID, AD, president, your basic information, your head coach, assistant coach, any other personnel. It has the limits on there for your travel party. Women's basketball had 6, and then it had 15 athletes. Please put pronunciation as well for your athletes. If you don't, we're going to just kind of guess because that helps our announcers, or we're going to have to track down the coach and try to ask them if they know it. So please try to put pronunciation for your athletes. If it's a normal name like Kimberly Fowler there, don't need to put it. But if for some reason someone has a different name or a name that even you're not sure, just try to ask the coach about how, or ask the athlete themselves how to announce it or how to pronounce it. Helps us out, and it helps us our announcers out because we don't want to go on our network and say someone's name wrong. That's not good. That's embarrassing for us, and that's not good for them. Player headshots. That's where you literally put your headshots in for your team. That is for our network. I've got pulled up. So this is what, and please label them as such. So this is what North Central did. They had the number and the name of the player. You can do just the number. Don't do just the name of the player because I don't have to go in and find, okay, John Smith is number 7. Teddy Arnold is number 9. No, just put the number and name if possible, or just put the number so that way I know. We prefer if you have nothing in the background, but if you took yours in front of a backdrop, it's not a big deal. Just it just looks a little bit cleaner. But again, that's based on what you did on your media day, so not gonna harp on it too much. Just make sure it's clear. You can see their face, so that way we can have them when we do starting lineups and anything else with that. Moving on to team and individual stats and schedule results. Pretty self-explanatory. Get your team stats and all of that up. Your individual stats, that just helps our announcers. Same with your schedule and results. If it's one of those where you're thinking your team's not going to make it because you entered the regional as the last seed in, all of a sudden you win the regional. Try to get that stuff in as quick as possible, especially those regional stats. That's why the stat upload for your regional is important because we want to know how you did the regional, especially if you have a situation where you were the last team in and won your regional to get the auto bid. And team photo is again just your team photo that's for the program mostly, but we like to use that as well. You should take one hopefully during your media day or at some point in the year. Broadcast storylines, when we get to this last, this is really basic stuff and it's good stuff for our announcers to have. So, and there's different ways you can do this. So this is what CIU baseball did last year for the Baseball World Series. Literally just put talking points and just some bullet points about, it's like, this is the first time we've been here since 2021, won the South Region Championship. And then you can just kind of go on. It's like, oh, we feature so-and-so as a pitcher, as most saves in a single season for us. So our coach is a former major league pitcher who was drafted 7th overall. You can have some big notable results they had in the last time they went to the 2021 season. And that's really good. Just some stuff for our announcers to talk about. And then Calvary, I really like what they did. Their women's basketball team they did a questionnaire of each one of their players. Now, I know if you have a bigger team, if it's like a baseball or a soccer or a team that has a lot of players, you may not be able to do this because it's a lot. But if you have basketball and you have a smaller team, you can just go through and just get your players. They can fill it out. So they can fill out any sort of info they think is noteworthy. You can ask them different questions, any of their achievements. Mainly the broadcast storylines is all about the players. So if they were all region, you may not know that by that point, but all region, if they're all NCCAA, all American, all NAI, all NCAA, if you are NAI or NCAA school, anything off the court or off the field. So if they are, all academic, or if they're an academic team member, or if say they do community service, they're a student teacher or something, that's just interesting stuff to know because as we want us to be able for our broadcasters to, put the spotlight on your athletes when they're at those national tournaments. So again, you can put as little or as much as you want on those, but that's just something we think is really cool. We get it all together for our announcers, so that way they're able to get an in-depth look at your team. And so that's really championship needs. Anything, Jesse, that I missed on that?
I'll add really quick. What I would encourage, the two things. One is what's going to happen is you're going to get email communication well before the championship, and it's going to go to everybody. So some of you might be questioning, my team's 1-12. Why am I getting an email asking about championship needs? Part of that is because we need the official travel party and the team photo piece as early as possible because we need that for the programs. So if you absolutely have no chance or that your team is not going to go to that national championship, you can ignore that. If you have any chance at all, Columbia International is a great example. They were one of the lower seeds in baseball last year, but Gordy updated everything. Those two things, as early as you can get those in, the better. Honestly, if you guys do media days at the start of your year, if you want to put your player headshots in there now, I know some of you are probably doing those media days in the next couple of weeks. Even if you don't qualify, it's just nice to have. It also gives us a huge break if your athlete wins Student Athlete of the Week, and for some reason the photo shows up a little fuzzy. We have other access points to do that, and it just saves you some time later in the year once crossover is happening. So we try not to bombard you with all of that stuff. But essentially what we're trying to do is make sure that the national championship has some good flavor to it, and for lack of a better term, and is done professionally. And the information you give us helps that. We have very high level broadcasters and they rely on a lot of this information. But all those other spots that are on there that Richard talked about, other than the travel party roster and the team photo, you don't need those unless you are for sure in the national tournament. But again, it's a quicker turnaround from a regional to a national. It gives you a couple days to get it in for us. Yeah, that was kind of the point I wanted to make about that one. But Richard, anything else? Otherwise, I'll jump to the next thing here.
No, I think I'm good. I think
Awesome.
I am.
Again, if you have questions that you want to get answered on the call, you're more than welcome to add them to the chat. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here. So give me a second. All right, hopefully we're back here. Again, I'll add this too, just on the heavy hitting stuff that Richard said. Our member help center outlines pretty much everything that we're talking about today. So that stats reporting piece is going to be a huge resource when it comes to schedule uploading or game schedules. There's specific instructions. If you like that better than watching a video, all of those items are in there. It is a lot of links, and we apologize for that, but we want to have as much information as possible for you guys. Hopefully a little less heavy hitting with the last few things we'll talk about on this call. Wanted to just mention proper NCCAA logo usage. So in this sports information tab, we do have a branding guide. Just please be sure to review that. It changes slightly every year, but the only thing I really wanted to highlight with it is we encourage you guys use our logos, and I'll show you where you can get that for like your digital media stuff. But this page is super important here of how to use our logo. Please do not edit our logo or change it or make the dimensions skewed, any of those types of things. I know a lot of graphics and graphic template softwares are getting into molds as well, where you put a logo kind of behind a picture. We have in our branding guide that our logo should not be appearing with something over top of it. So please make sure that It has clear space when you do use it. If you do use it, it's not a requirement, but obviously it's an encouragement on our end. So that's a huge component. I'm going to go back here and show you where you can get those. That NCCAA Google Drive that's under sports information here has a bunch of resources for you guys to download or use as well. It has our king chasing items, has commercials you can use on your broadcasts if you need space to fill those. Again, these are all optional things, but can be good to enhance your own broadcast and digital media. It has information about the Game Plan for Life video series. These are just videos of Dan talking about what each of those things mean. You can use those for your athletes. This logos tab I'll click into here also has the branding guide right there for you, but it has all of the logos you could possibly need for this year. There is some additional ones that I'll explain in just a second that we've added, but your national championship logos are right in here, every single sport. Right now, all of our spring sports are still missing a location. We do not have those finalized yet. So please note that if for some reason you wanted to do something baseball related, it's going to say location TBD at the current moment. That will update in that folder as soon as we have that information. Regional championship logos are here as well. You have that. And then member school logos. Every single member school is in here. So if you're struggling to find that and you need their logo, you can use that. Here are our NCCAA logos in white and in our full color. And then the new folder that we've added is sport-specific logos. So this is kind of a just another variation of an NCCAA logo that you guys are more than welcome to use. So for example, here's a black version of just, it's like the top of the national championship logo without anything else. And then we have them in full color as well. So if you ever wanted to use that for any reason, you're more than welcome to. We have those in here for your use. Again, these will get updated each year. So after the year is over, this folder will not change, but it'll clear out and the new national championship logos will get put in there. So that link is always available to you as a resource. So that is that piece. Next thing, we got two more things, and then we'll give a little bit of time if there is questions that somebody wanted to shoot before we end. Let me get back to where I need to go here. Helpful partnerships. Again, on our member help center, there's a few preferred vendors we have that we just want to shout out that are very helpful in regards to sports information. If you're ever looking at preferred vendors, whether it's for sports information needs, coaching needs, whatever, there is a list right here of people that partner specifically with the NCCAA. The ones I want to talk about, Sidearm is obviously a huge one. There's a link right here that talks more about Sidearm. We use Sidearm as our website provider. I think many of you do as well. If you have not worked with Sidearm, they're fantastic. They have great customer service, and they are one of the headlining sports website providers out there. And if you do work with them, they link to our website well, as Richard kind of showed in that schedule uploading and stat uploading. It's a little bit easier using them. So there's contact information for them there. If you ever are thinking about a website redesign, any of that information is there. Another one I want to talk about really quick is Box Out Sports. They are our provider for logos and graphics. There are other companies out there as well. Box Out has been great to work with. I worked with them for many years. So if you don't have a graphic software that you guys use to create graphics on the fly, you guys are all dealing with a lot of sports at a lot all the time. Box Out does a great job of creating templates for you that you can just fill in the information and make a graphic in under 2 minutes. It's not hard at all. Again, there's contact information there. And we use those for a lot of graphics as well. Huddle is another one I'm going to quick mention. Huddle, I'll go to our network page. There is a spot for them there too. We use Huddle to stream our national championship events. And we're excited to be able to continue to do that. A big component, if you guys do decide to use Huddle to stream on our website specifically, and they're working on updating this actually as we speak for schools that may have switched over, there's a spot down here where every school that uses Huddle to stream, people can go to our website and find games from your season to watch live. So it's just another hub, I guess, for you to have people find your games and watch your games. So for Asbury here, if I click into Asbury, they have their men's soccer game scheduled here for August 30th, 2024. If I'm a fan and I somehow came across the NCCAA network and I wanted to watch Asbury, these will all automatically populate as you create those through Huddle. So those are three main ones. The last one I wanted to talk about is a streaming equipment partner. This is something when I was an SID at Cornerstone University that I learned a lot about. Again, dealing with kind of the video side. If you have not used Scoreboard, Scoreboard is a resource that works specifically to connect your scoreboard on site to your stream so that you don't have to have someone sit there and update the basketball score every 2 seconds. We also use this at national championships. It helps reduce hours of student workers because it's a job that you don't have to have someone do. They are a newer company in the last, I would say, probably 10 years. And they're up and coming, and they work directly with Huddle as well. So there is a great partnership there between the two. And there's contact information on here as well. And you can contact me if you need in regards to Scoreboard, if that's something you're interested in. So that's that. Last thing I wanted to mention is just new things. Obviously, with two new faces leading this, it's a couple things that we are going to try to develop that are new that could help you guys or affect you guys. Some are very, very simple. One, it's not really new, but it's just be on the lookout for emails from each of us. I know we send email blasts because we have to, and that's the way to do it. Please make sure if you feel like you haven't gotten an email in a long time from us, especially with student athletes starting next week, that means that something's wrong. You're either not on our email list for some reason, or what's been happening a lot with security updates at schools, which is totally understandable, is stuff gets thrown in spam a lot quicker than you think. Or even further along those lines, you might need to talk to your tech department about how to get the NCCAA emails to come through to your email inbox. We are in process. Erica in our office manages this. But we're in process of making sure all those email lists are updated. Obviously, with member dues and membership coming in the last couple of weeks, that takes a little bit of time. She's updating that as quickly as possible. So some of you, I know some new members are on here as well. It might have just been recently that you started getting those emails. If you're not for some reason, feel free to shoot me an email and we'll make sure that you're on that list. And we send out emails of all different things. Articles, when we were at national championships, our goal this year and what we're planning on, what we've done in the past is only done a national championship article on the last day. We're going to try to do an article every day for our championships to highlight more than just our winner and try to provide more of that. And that'll also get emailed out. So I know all of you are writing articles. If you're at a national championship, most likely you're writing about your team and your team's performance, but this will also just provide hopefully a little bit of resources and material from us that maybe you can copy and paste and use in your article. Or if you don't have the time to write an article, you can share ours because there'll hopefully be some information about you guys in that. So that is the goal, just to try to enhance some content. And then the last thing I'll mention, or two things, sorry, is in this member help center, and we will send out an email about this. Richard and I are starting this year what's called Plays of the Month. So what we're going to do, if you guys stream your games and you have a really cool play that happens, we kind of came up with this idea we were blessed in the spring. We had 2 plays make SportsCenter top 10 because we had a lot of people that kept catching balls and it was pretty crazy. And they made some great catches. So we kind of decided to come up with this idea of Plays of the Month. So if you click this folder here, there's going to be an instruction sheet of what it looks like. I'm not going to go into the details of that again, because this is like brand new and I'm going to send an email about it. But we're going to do, there's folders in here where you can drop MP4 or an MOV file of a play that might have happened at your game. It helps obviously, and it says this in the instructions, if there's like a broadcast to it or if it's like professionally done. But even if it's like, sometimes when I was in SID, I was at the stats table and I had my phone and I was recording a last second shot from there. And sometimes that can work. We can make that work. So if you want to, it's a great way to get some publicity. Just drop that file as the instructions say into the appropriate folder. We will release those on the 5th of the month of the following month. So for example, April, we'll release that on May 5th, and we'll do a maximum of 5 plays. So there will be opportunity there. The other thing that I'll add to that quickly is we will all obviously be managing some of those where if we're at if it's a championship season and we have some really good plays from the championship, you don't have to do anything for those national championship ones. We will be like, yeah, that was a really good play. We'll drop it in and put it in there for that. So just a fun way to hopefully get more schools, more interaction on our page and reach a larger audience. So just know that that's an option for you guys. And then one more thing. You've probably received some email communication on this, and the next one of these is happening on Thursday. I don't believe Colton is on this call from Asbury, but we've started something called ACs for Christ, Athletic Communication for Christ. Something I'm very passionate about, being a former SID, is this job has a lot of transition. People move jobs a lot. They are often isolated. In a lot of ways, you might be the only person at your school that has any clue how to do any of the stuff we just talked about today, which means you don't have a ton of people to talk to at your school about those things or how to get better at what you're doing, or just your relationship with Christ. So we've been partnering with Colton at Asbury. He's great. Just to have a Zoom call once every 3 weeks where you can join. We do a little short devotional. We talk about some professional development topics and just try to connect with one another. Again, that's not required by any stretch of the imagination. We understand you guys are super busy. They're on Thursdays at 11 a.m. You should be getting a week before an email where you can register for those, just like you registered for this call. And if you want to join those, you are more than welcome to. If you have not received one of those emails yet from me, again, just reach out and we can get that information to you. That was a lot of words, and I apologize, but we did it in less than an hour. So we have about 7 minutes till it's 4 o'clock, which was the goal to be done. If you have a question, I don't see any additional ones in the chat at this point. If you want to drop it in the chat, or if you want to quick speak, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, that is all we have.
Jesse, I'll add one thing for the plays of the month. If for some reason you don't have a broadcast and you just have a phone video, try to send, or like if we upload it, try to send me or Jesse like a quick explanation of what happened there, because I'm going to be the one putting those videos together. I'll try to do like a quick voiceover or something that's like, oh, so-and-so hit a buzzer beater for the win against so-and-so. Just something quick, so that way it's not just, okay, we see what happened, but what actually happened if there's no announcer or anything. So try to click, or say it's, maybe someone broke a record or something, especially if you have, and this is for all sports, like say you have golf or track and field, say someone gets on video of a golf, they get a hole in one, or someone on track breaks a national record. If they are streaming that or there's video of that, they're probably not going to have announcers for that. So please try to send along some information with that so we can explain it. So it's not just like, here's play of the month number 2, and it's somebody playing golf. It's like, okay, we can kind of infer, but you never know sometimes. So that's mostly for those sports like that don't get strained. But if for some reason, you can explain it, give us a good explanation, that also may help you out. And if we pick it, because say your play upset the number 4 team in the country compared to somebody else's was over against a team that's 0-9, then that might have some weight to it. So just any of those are kind of like borderline, maybe some explanation to it, but don't need to go too in depth, just a little explanation, so that way we know what we're looking at.
Perfect. And that should be in that instruction sheet as well. Adam sent another message here. Go ahead, Adam, if you want to.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if maybe Richard covered this before I was able to jump on the call, but I do know if you are a sidearm client, the stats should automatically push to the NCCAA stats page. My inquiry is, and this may be a sidearm question, if both teams are NCCAA schools and they're both sidearm clients, and one person uploads an XML that doesn't have the codes and one person that does the NCCAA website read one over the other? Or I'm not exactly sure exactly which one it pulls from when it does that automatic pull.
I believe it pulls the last one, whatever was updated latest, as far as I know, because we've had not that exact instance, but something similar, where we'll automatically overwrite whatever was done previously. So if the second one was the correct one, you should be good. If the first one was the correct one, you would not be good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just think there was an occasion or a couple of occasions where I uploaded a new XML and maybe the school we played re-uploaded it after I did it, but it reverted back to the original one without the codes. And I was like, what the heck? I uploaded it with the codes. So that's why I was inquiring about it, if it was one of those things where like maybe the host school's XML overwrites it or how that works.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that might be a sidearm, like you
Yeah.
said, might be a sidearm question further, but yeah. Any other questions? Otherwise,
I'm going to bring up one more stat thing that I totally forgot to bring up. If for some reason, so when I go on the stat upload, and if you saw, I shared my screen, I can see if you've tried to upload a file. And let's say I see that you tried to upload a file and it's not pulling up on our site on the front end. I may just email you and go, hey, check your team codes and re-upload. That happens a lot where sometimes someone just in a hurry, especially around Christmas, where it's like I literally had an SID tell me one time, he's like, I'm gonna be honest, man. We played at noon on a Friday and we had Christmas break and I was ready to get home. So I just uploaded a file and walked away. And I was like, that's fair enough. So, and then I'm not gonna harp on you. If I saw you attempted to upload a file, I'm just gonna email and go, hey, check your file, check the codes, and re-upload. You're good to go. So just remember to check those codes. But for some reason I see that you attempted the file, I'm not gonna ding you for a stat penalty. I'm just gonna be like, hey, let's get this check on the codes and then we're good to go.
the codes are 98% of the problems we deal with.
So.
So if you're ever in doubt, check the codes.